very much. Welcome back to another edition of the Lunchtime News Review right here on Star TV. As usual, I have Yankuba Jallo with us, and joining us will be Kausu Baji. He's with Star TV. And then we also have Mr. Nfamara Jawneh, who is a youth activist. In our today's program, we'll be looking at some key issues that happened during the week. As you already know, Gambia mourns the death of legendary footballer, that is Alhaji Mumudunjai Biri. We'll be talking about it. Arrival of ambulances from Turkey for the COVID-19, and also Caraba Beach Hotel staffs demand unpaid salaries. The implementation of face masks raises concern among citizens. We also be talking about that, and then youth organizations to protest amid Lamin Dabo's sacking. We also be giving you some updates regarding the COVID-19 and also the uplifting of the state of emergency, replacing it with the health regulation. We'll be discussing about it right here on Star TV. Gentlemen, welcome to the news review. Yankuba.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kamara. I'm happy to be here with at least two of my senior colleagues here.
All right. Mr. Jawneh?
Oh, yes, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good afternoon, viewers, and thank you so much for inviting me, the manager and host of the program.
All right, thank you very much. As we said earlier, Gambians mourned the death of legendary footballer Alhaji Mumudunjai Biri. The former Gambia international was seen by many as an irreplaceable footballer in the history of African football. The iconic star, who has died at the age of 72, defined an era at Sevilla as the first African to wear a Sevilla jersey. He played in 5 football seasons for Sevilla between 1973 and 1978. Omar Diop has the rest of the story.
Often regarded by many as the greatest Gambian footballer to ever grace the game, Biri Biri was indeed an iconic player. Even kids who have never seen him play want to be like him. His passing, according to many, is an irreplaceable loss to Gambian football. Since the sad news broke out, Gambians, including President Adama Barrow, have been united in sending their condolences to his family. The president of the Gambia Football Federation, Lamin Bajo, declared that they will make sure the legacy of Biri Biri lives on as he recalls his last moment with the iconic star. I didn't expect that our meeting in your house in Old Joshua on the eve of your departure to Dakar, Senegal for medical treatment will be the last of its kind. It was not until few hours after the announcement of your demise that I recalled and made sense out of the statement you made to me and my colleagues during that meeting. I am going, whether or not I come back. Know that I will always be with you. Little did we know that you were saying adieu to us. Biri Biri played as a right winger. He most notably played for Sevilla FC in Spain and Halfrock Ball Club in Denmark. Before his time in Europe, Biri Biri played for Black Diamonds, Phantoms and Augustines in Gambia, as well as Mighty Blackpool of Sierra Leone. Biri Biri was spotted by a Danish club during a scouting mission in the Gambia in 1972. He left them in 1973 for Spanish team Sevilla FC. He was the first black player to play for Sevilla and was considered one of their best players. Biri Biri returned to Denmark to play for Halflock Board Club in 1980, and in 1981 he signed for Walidan FC back in the Gambia, for whom he played until retirement in 1987. Biri also served as deputy mayor of Banjul in 1994. Jacqueline Coley reporting for Star TV.
That was Alhaji Mumudunjai Biri. We all know that it's a very sad week for Gambian football. I will not say even Gambia, that's, I would say, the whole world, you know, especially in Europe, Spain, with Sevilla, the club that he played with. But Gambians are complaining that legends in this country aren't celebrated when they are alive. They only celebrated, you know, when they passed away. Yankuba.
Yeah, and that's true. We don't celebrate our people. We don't write about them. We don't even know what they feel, what they do after retirement. For example, even our civil service, wherever a person works or wherever a person has done history, at the end of it, that is the end. For example, Biri, as the case right now, and many, like for us, if not about his death, many will not know about it. Although some people have provided in documentaries, like outside the Gambia.
Outside
So
the Gambia, yeah.
foreigners are celebrating our people. Then Gambia, we are not doing much to that regard. I think you not, I had people suggesting that making many demands, like the stadium should be named after him, even the street where he belongs to should be named after him. But how about writing about it? People should also investigate and write about him. He is an icon, and then we need people like him. The Gambia Football Federation awarded him this, gave him an award in January last year in recognition of his efforts. But even that is that if someone who Real Madrid can website think about what's the Gambia missing. Look at Senegal. They made a special documentary. I've watched it. I'm not sure whether there is Gambian missing. So it's very important that we let this be a learning point for Gambia.
Looking at the legendary Biri, he did a lot for his country.
Absolutely.
For him, I remember he once said that when he went to Sevilla and met with Maradona, Mara knelt down, touching his feet. But he told Mara that you are the Mara said, no, you are the greatest. I came here and I made your history here. Yeah. But Gambians don't know about him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just like Yakuba said, this is a problem in this country. We hardly, celebrate each other when we are alive. And it's unfortunate that you don't celebrate people if they are not alive. To me, it doesn't make much sense. I think it's better you celebrate me, recognize what I'm doing, and then wait until I die. And this is very, very unfortunate in this country. And I think this should be a learning point. I think when Musangam died, so I was thinking that we'll learn from that as Gambians. But people didn't learn from it. And an unfortunate thing, like he said, I saw a video going viral about Viri complaining, how he was treated at the time in the society with regards to the football and sports in general. So I was saying, well, how could somebody of this caliber, be treated like this in this country like that? So really, in other parts of the world, people are celebrating Gambians. You could see that. Yeah. Gambians all over the world have been celebrated by non-Gambians. But when you come to the Gambia, I don't know what is our problem. But definitely we have to learn from this, and this is very unfortunate that a person of this his caliber, we could not really appreciate, what he has done for not only Gambia but for Africa, being the first Gambian, to play at such international level. By now, he should really, be celebrated by all Gambians and non-Gambians. But unfortunately, we failed him.
Yeah, like we failed him because even looking at the short documentary when he passed away, the short documentary that we got on YouTube was from Senegal, done by Laija, which was, very, very shameful for Gambia.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just like he said, I think it's now a challenge for Gambian writers and filmmakers and journalists and anyone interested to do a research about the likes of Biri, and so that the young ones can know really more about them and draw inspiration from them.
All right. Kausu, he was once stopped at the Independence Stadium. I can remember that, Biri, because he wasn't having a ticket. A police officer stopped him from entering to watch a football match.
Absolutely. It's that much sad. But to me, all boils down to lack of institutional memory. Gambia is a country whereby institutional memory, people don't even try to work on it. And we have a problem, a bad culture whereby like anybody who actually inherit, we don't have that much regards to actually go back a little to look at the history, what happens prior to. Not the first Gambian, the first black to play in Sevilla, for me, is like a pride for black Africans. I can just link it to what Kwame said when they got independent. He said, they will never be free until the whole black Africa is free. So for me, not only Gambians should actually celebrate this guy, but how about the Gambia? If Syria can actually name a portion of their pavilion to this great legend, how about the Gambia? Coming to enter to a stadium, you are asked of a ticket. What leads to that is actually non-recognition. He is not recognized by that person who must have stopped him. And that person feels he or she was doing his duty. And therefore, What can be done is the institutional memory, and then for us to actually recognize those people, like Nfamara said. I don't believe people need to be celebrated when they are normal. I said something similar when Sadauda died, and people started bringing, we should name the airport after Sadauda. I said too late. Why do we need to name, in fact, now the Independence Stadium after Biribiri? In reality, people will remember him. But to what value and actually what would it change? If that stadium was named after Biribiri, at that time, the moment the person Biribiri comes and says, I am Biribiri, it is enough for everybody to know this person wants recognition. So these are issues. And finally, when it comes to social media, sometimes our advocacy just stops within 2 or 3 weeks. All those people that were posting, sign the link, name the airport after Sanad. Now people don't even remember him. Probably we will wait until another 1 year of his death, and people will start coming up with other theories. I believe as a country, we really need to focus and redesign our approach towards our people that were celebrating.
Yeah, and I also think the media also has a big role to play in it, in helping Gambians, to remember, our legends, celebrate them.
Yeah, it is a duty that the media has to inform the people about our great people. And people like Biri, then he was open to journalists, even though many don't recognize the work of the media. But I can also assure you that the media also have done something about Biri. I've read newspapers where people wrote about him. Then usually sports are always at the back of the page.
Yeah.
But people will not have time to go and read it. So people also should be able to read and also be able to listen to our sport. Not only European sports, like if the team, each person has a team that you fancy in Europe, but also in the Gambia too. If you go to, for example, our division matches, you can count the number of people. Only fans club of the club you see, but ordinary fans you will not see them. Why? Because there is no interest. So people should begin to build interest and read and try to know exactly what is happening in our sporting sector, because it is moving.
It's moving, exactly.
It's moving,
Yeah.
and we need to celebrate people like Biri, and also people, as Kausu said, people need to change our approach to the sport. So even after his death, lot can be done by the journalists, that is media workers, filmmakers, as explained, writers, and many others can go to the family. Still, there's a lot that we need to write. Not everything. All what you have written is not enough. You can still write a lot. Books can be written, films can be made, articles, investigative features, and others can be written about Biri. So there is still time for that.
Okay, and I also think the way people focus, they focus mainly on political issues, Mr. Jawneh. When you buy newspaper, you're just interested to read on what is on the front page. Okay, after that, you don't want to see what is happening, on the back page, of this sport stories. We all know live television also contributed, to the media making legend recognized, in society. I remember Babu Kamara once wrote a profile of Biri with the Daily Observer. That was a long time ago. By then we have American television services. But I think people should also change the way, they focus.
I agree. The media actually, you set the pace for national discourse. But again, also, I remember when I was at the point, I always said this. Yes, we publish stories on sports on the back page of the paper. And therefore, somebody who is really interested will only look at the front page stories, because political issues, sensational stories, these are the stories that people really at the time want, and these are the stories that editors give prominence to. But I think I always say that it's also important that if there are important stories related to sports, you don't really need to just put them at the back of the paper. I'm driving along the highway, I just see the front page, I buy the paper. I haven't seen the back page.
Yeah.
Whatever is there about sports or beauty whatsoever, I don't care, I'm just driving, going. I don't have time to waste. So what is stopping the editor from putting that very important story about that particular Gambian, that personality, like Billy for instance, on the front page of the paper, instead of putting it at the back? So again, like I said, people always say these are the stories that people want, otherwise the paper will not be sold. But I beg to differ. As I said, the media is the pace setter. So the drive, the focus that you are taking us, the direction that you are taking us, that's where we will go. So if you want, you can really change the status quo by giving prominence to other stories, including sports.
Exactly. Kausu, you want to come in?
Absolutely, media is the pace setter. 100% agree. And then, for me, I know very well that most of the Gambians don't have that culture of reading, and probably the editors will want to ensure that you have a captivating story that will actually make you to buy the newspaper. But sometimes also, like someone who most of the newspapers that I buy, I'm most interested in a youth article. So regardless of wherever you slot it, I will actually ensure that after going through the newspaper, I'll look at what is written about the youth article apart from politics. I know I'm not a very good fan of sports, and as a result, I hardly actually go through the back page. And this is why sometimes also some of the newspapers, some of their interesting stories can also be behind, and we don't have access to go through, because the assumption is behind is for sports. When it comes to the back page, it's for sports, and therefore we don't go through. But like Nfamara said, the media can actually, because there is no rule to say sports should be behind or sports should be in front. So I believe once we change that, it will be in the best interest of everybody.
Okay, thank you very much. Ambulances and medical items on Monday arrive at the Banjul International Airport from Turkey through the efforts of the Ministry of Health to fight COVID-19. The items are to combat the spread of the virus in the country. More on this report with Mariam Adam.
Speaking at the ceremony, the Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmadullah Samate, said that the items are ready for use for the provision of healthcare delivery services in the Gambia. He also said that the provision of better healthcare service is possible because of the support of the President.
To help us put forward our proposal for the next funding cycle of the World Bank support to the Gambia for the health sector. By the way, that had been increased because of the exemplary leadership of His Excellency and the leadership at the Ministry of Health. The World Bank has even increased their support to the Ministry of Health, to the Gambia, to up to 40 million for these next few years. Now, he was here to help the country develop that. Then COVID-19 came into reality, and he actually got stranded here. But the time has been worthwhile spent. He raised these funds for us through his contacts, through his foresight, through his negotiations to get us the $10 million US dollar support from the World Bank. Together with the Minister of Finance, we thank him very much, Honorable Mamburinjai. They work on this funding support for us.
He assured that the medical items and the ambulances will be used by the citizens of this country. Even after the pandemic, the minister declared that the equipment will be distributed to the needed places. He disclosed that the total amount of money spent on the items was approximately $2 million. He also noted that the rest of the items will arrive later.
So still, the Gambia will receive 23 more in addition to this, because we want a system whereby after COVID-19, we have a very strong ambulance system in the country, whereby referral will be made easier for our people. Because you and I know that people have lost their lives in trying to get to the hospitals because there is a delay in getting them to the hospital because they didn't have access to ambulance services. And we want that to be a thing of the past in this country.
Honorable Usman Silla, a National Assembly member for Banjul North, also had this to say.
These supplies, medical equipment and material, have been brought to the attention of the National Assembly, particularly the Select Committee on Health. And we have been looking forward to witnessing the delivery of these items. I don't have much to say, but just that we believe that this is going to be a boost, not only to the response to COVID-19, but as we are supporting the process for the development of a robust, effective, responsive healthcare delivery system, these deliveries are going to help in that direction, that the Gambians deserve affordable healthcare, Gambians deserve accessible healthcare, Gambians deserve real-time attention in terms of healthcare. Gambians deserve affordable and quality healthcare. And we believe that with these ambulances, there are communities that are far off and would need medical attention. But for them to benefit from medical attention, real time, lack of mobility has been.
He further said that he wants Gambians to benefit from this because it was taxpayers' monies that were used to procure them. He vowed that each of the regions will have one ambulance. Mamadou Tangara also urged the citizens to avoid social gathering, maintain the hand washing and use the masks because the pandemic is more relevant now than before. Maria Madem reporting for Star TV News.
Well, arrival of the health equipment together with ambulances, we've all seen witnesses this week at the international airport, just to boost the fight against COVID-19. But the question remains, the cases are on the increase here in this country. Is Minister of Health or the government doing enough, you know, to fight COVID-19? Jawneh?
Well, the irony here is that the time that they start announcing the public state of emergency, then we had few cases. And now the cases are increasing, and there's no public state of emergency again. They've lifted it. Even though there is another regulation,
yeah, the health regulation,
which will ensure that giving more power to the health minister to declare certain parts of the country or whole for all those things. But the issue here is that this is very serious. Like I said, the time we had few cases, we had a state of public emergency. Now we had more cases coming up. There is no such law, it's lifted. And therefore, this is very, very serious. So I'm not sure if the efforts that have been taken so far are enough. I saw just a few days ago that frontline workers at the public health laboratory at Kotu complaining about lack of electricity. They are complaining that they need a generator because NAVEC always go on off.
Yeah.
So whenever that happens, it affects their work because the results will not be conclusive. They have to redo it again. This is a problem. The ministry knows about this, I'm sure. So they should do something about this. And the number of staff of the health ministry and then frontline workers infected right now is alarming.
Yeah.
It's alarming. So what are you really doing to contain the spread of this virus in this country? Because if we have more of them being infected at the end of the day, who will take care of the rest of the population?
Exactly.
This is serious.
Exactly.
So the challenge now is for the ministry to redouble their effort and government in general. So I for one, I believe that they should bring back the state of emergency and enforce the regulations.
Yeah, but if you say they should bring back the state of emergency, maybe many people were not taking the state of emergency seriously. You hardly, you know, even notice that, you know, there's state of emergency in this country. Yankuba, honestly.
Yes, I'll start with the ambulances.
Yeah.
And COVID-19 tells a lot. It exposes the country because if it was not COVID-19, we would not have got this. It's like we were not thinking. Well, now we have a problem where we're thinking of a solution. And also the minister is even saying, is quoted saying, this will be used even after COVID-19. So it's like we are thinking ahead now. So it's the beginning of a time. And then a country needs this type of things, and then but we also should be doing things on our own. Like for example, the minister is saying, is the president doing things on his own with the Minister of Finance, get money from World Bank and others. So without that, then we wouldn't have got this. So what is the government actually doing to ensure that we can buy this for ourselves? We cannot be always waiting for this.
Dependent.
So this is a situation that the Gambia should be learning. So from COVID-19, I think it will be shining light for the country. Let's see whether it will continue this way. So coming to the state of emergency, it's I think we need it. Actually, we need it. But the problem is the government was not doing enough because you realize that people are coming in and out of the country, moving across the border. Some are saying the border is porous. But even if it is porous, one of my colleagues who is a journalist at Fora wrote an article. You realize that some of the immigration workers and immigration officers and personnel at the border side, they walk on foot. So those who are using
motorbikes,
who are smugglers, they use motorbikes.
Yeah.
How can someone on foot control someone on
motorbikes?
These are means, they have very quick means to defeat them. That's why people are coming in and out. They know, and these people will have working time. They wait till they go home. They return to their base, will come into the country. So the ministry and the government, not actually focusing only on Ministry of Health, but also the government, at least to provide these people with mobility. This was a complaint generally at the National Assembly. Government should be listening to the National Assembly. So the state of emergency is needed. But since the government has revoked it, maybe it's based on health advice. The minister may be the better person to do that advice. But the situation right now is alarming because, for example, in just less than 8 days, or not more than 9 days, we have more than 70 cases. How is that possible? It's a call for concern. So the ministry, the government lifting the state of emergency, any problem that comes, they will be blamed.
Okay.
They were not enforcing the regulations, and now they remove the regulation again. So actually, for me right now, I don't know where we are heading to. Because today too, we can hear 50 cases. It has always been on the increase.
On the increase,
never been
exactly.
on the decrease.
Okay.
So,
Well, we've seen in a release that they sent on the State House, Facebook page. Among the reasons is they said an assessment of the impact of the scaling down of Gambia economy has produced uncomfortable results. Accordingly, the economy will lose $2.5 billion and shrink by 3% point from the project growth rate of 6.3% in 2020 to 3.3%. So they also made mention that it is also lifted because of they also want to reduce the hardship faced by household across the country and in consideration of other broader issues.
It's a genuine thing to say, but it is not enough. The hardship is not only, like for example, the government gave families bag of rice. How long will it take a family of maybe 10 people a bag of rice? Is that enough? A bag of sugar or half bag of sugar, a small, gallon of oil. These are, the government is saying hardship. It's not only about family households. Some people are affected economically.
Yeah.
Video club owners,
Yep.
shop owners, restaurant owners, and all other people are affected. People are not comfortable right now. The government is saying they lift it. Lifting it has to come with an action. The action is you need to provide for your citizens. And the government must begin thinking about how to help the citizens. Whether people write projects and they help them, support them. We cannot be only relying on, this loss is caused, the loss emanates because we depend mainly on others. We don't rely on ourselves. Whatever we do, we have to wait for others to do it. Like for example, the Toba's case here now. The RAM, people are complaining that we will not have enough RAM because if you go to other countries, they have regulation. If you go there, you have to undergo quarantine. You come back, when you are coming back, you enter the Gambia or any other country you go to, you have to pass through their regulations. So before you come here, the Tobaski will have passed. So, and also, the government was not doing well on that side because our livestock sector was not properly, there was no investment, there was no proper investment. People will depend on Mauritania to get this. So right now, Tobaski is here, people will not have even money to afford to get this 35,000. Think about the person who received $3,000 his salary every month. 3 times 12 is how much? And if you minus 30 from that, so it's like the person was saving to buy only for a RAM.
Only for a RAM.
So these are things that the government should be, doing for the people, so that people will have at least a life of dignity.
Well, maybe.
I want to comment on that part of the government. It talked about our economy. Now, this is about wealth versus life. Wealth versus life. We want to have more money in our accounts. We want to live good, want to live well. Life goes normal. Our economy boom. More people die. Is that what we want? In a sense, that's what they're saying us. They're telling us. So I think it's better they enforce the rules, the regulations. They enforce the regulations, bring back the state of emergency, and make sure that people adhere to these rules and regulations. And as a result, when people are alive, then we talk about bringing back our economy. But if people die, obviously, what do you do to bring the economy back? The hardship, like he said, these are the weaknesses that we have in various sectors of our economy. We are never prepared to take this type of emergency. Otherwise, we would have invested in various sectors of our economy, especially reproductive sectors, agriculture and the like, livestock sector. If we had invested very well into these sectors and they are very vibrant, the way people are suffering today would not suffer like that. We don't be depending on Mauritania or Senegal for rams. Right now he mentioned, one ram they're saying 35,000. How many Gambians can afford that? Some people can spend, they can save 35,000 a whole year. A whole year, some people cannot save 35,000.
That's true.
So this is very sad.
Yeah, but let's also look at the health regulations. I think the minister is also empowered, to declare the whole or any part of the Gambia as an infected local area, and accordingly, according to the release, restrict or prohibit the movement of persons and vehicles, and also order the closure of borders during the period of restriction on movement except for transportation of persons performing essential services or obtaining essential supplies, restrict or prohibit mass gathering of persons and order temporary closure of public places, construct or designated place, design spaces as quarantine and isolation centers for travelers coming from infected areas and other persons entering the Gambia to bear the cost of their quarantine, and order compulsory wearing of face masks by all personnel in public places. So I think there are also regulations also.
Saying that the minister have the powers.
The powers, exactly.
To do that.
Yeah.
But in effect, that is not in place right now.
It's not in place right
now.
No. That's true.
Therefore, it says we can go on our normal lives.
Yeah.
Except social distances and the like, wearing of masks. Yeah. But we can go on our daily routine, our congregations, our public gatherings, and other things. It says the minister have the power to enforce that, but they haven't declared that yet. Yeah. So where do we stand?
Yes, I guess absolutely. It is extremely funny. One time I said this when we were having the health briefing, and I said, in reality, people who have been coming to the Gambia, we know clearly that the regulation set done during the days of the public state of emergency, this wouldn't come. Now, if you violate a law and nothing awaits you there, but in fact be taken to a hotel, everybody violates the law. And no, this is simple. You see, sometimes, this is what I tell people, there is no, if we really want laws to be enforced, if we want to put up laws, we need to be prepared to enforce the laws. And we must enforce them to the latter. Yeah. People left, let's look at the cases, how they were coming. They were coming up in series of 2, 3, at most 5. In fact, the first time we had 5 cases, it's like everybody becomes serious again. But before we started having 5, they were coming up in 2, 3, sometimes you go, they said 0. No case, no case. But what happens? People were coming from the neighboring countries using what our porous borders, like they call them, sometimes illegal entries. Illegally entering a country, it's a violation. So why do you need to take that person, after taking that person to a quarantine center in a hotel, and keep the person? If I am from the other country, I'll call my people and say, hey, come to Gambia. Gambia is heaven. Because you are quarantined for 15 days in a hotel, and after that they will leave you to go and run your normal errands. So what keeps happening is, people within the surrounding countries started using Gambia as a safe haven, and deliberately violating them. So the second thing was, the time that they were violating that, Gambia as a country was responsible for their accommodation and their feeding, and we were taking them to hotels. When average taxpayers have never spent a night in a hotel. So honestly, was the government really serious in fighting COVID-19 in the Gambia? The question is up to them to answer. The second thing is, we have a government, and that is the unfortunate thing. Things in the Gambia have been getting jobs that are more of the active. Because at no point in time would we say, this is what we had on board, and it's clearly stipulated that at least when it comes to the health sector, A, B, C, D is what will be done. We will get the funds from this place and that place, and this is going to be the expected outcome. If yes, I'm yet to say that. COVID-19 is not the problem. Our health system and other systems have been weak before COVID-19, and COVID-19 came to disclose that our health system is weak, and this is what we say. Talking about the ambulance, it's a good news. My point here is, I've been to some communities whereby there are health centers, and the communities where the people will be coming to the health center, the road networks are very bad. And then, if we really want our ambulance to last long, really the road networks need to be fixed. Electricity is just a problem. Honestly, if a unit of the health would complain of electricity in this time of COVID-19, I really don't know how about those health posts and health centers. What will they say? So really, I think as a country, we really need to sit and be honest to ourselves. What is possible is possible. What is not possible is not possible. It's time for Gambians to start planning based on the input and the purchasing power of our pocket, then copying what is being done outside. At one point in time, I said Gambia, the time we put up this state of public emergency, I said we were copying, we didn't need it. The first moment. And this is why at one point in time, people feel it was not relevant and people were not respecting it. Now that it is most needed, you were telling us that you have actually lifted. When the president, who has the absolute powers, cannot actually keep people, will the minister do? I mean, let us be honest as a country.
Okay, let's just go to the face masks. I want to the other news article. As the number of coronavirus cases in the Gambia increase, the government urged all Gambians to make use of the face masks anywhere in public or face the consequences if caught by the police. Jacqueline Colley was on the streets and she now reports.
Many spoke about the enforcement of wearing face masks. One of them was Malik Salah, who commended the government for this regulation, saying that wearing the mask is for the safety of all Gambians and that it is one of the ways people can prevent themselves from getting infected by the virus. He stated that the government should have endeavored to provide masks for the people because not all people can afford a mask. He said that he bought a mask for $75. Even though it was expensive for him, he had to sacrifice for his health to be normal. On the other hand, Ibrahim Adamfa thinks that the mask should not be worn by force. According to him, not everyone is privileged to be able to afford a mask, considering the fact that those that manufacture the local masks sell it at a high cost and the pharmacies have increased the price due to its high demand. He said that the high cost has made it difficult for many to purchase it. He noted that those with asthma will find it hard to breathe under the masks due to the nature of some of the local masks manufactured. Abdu Boy said that with the crowded markets, vehicles and ferries, the rate at which the virus spreads in the country will tend to increase, and wearing the face mask is not the only measure that the government needs to take. He added that more measures of enforcing social distancing should be taken and strictly enforced. He recalled that some time back, drivers were asked to reduce the number of passengers they used to carry, as well as markets to regulate the time they should open and close. But for him, one thing the government forgot to look at was the number of commuters the ferries carry. He added that the ferry crossing points could be one of the fastest places one could contact the virus from another person. He went on and urged the government and other private sectors to help in providing face masks to the people to help follow the enforcement of wearing it. He also advised the Gambian people to wear masks, if possible, at any public place for a better health condition. Jacqueline Colley, reporting for Star TV News.
Well, the implementation of face masks, you drive, on the streets, some are wearing masks, some are not, wearing masks, and if you ask them, say they can't afford, to pay $75 or $100 to buy a mask because even for them to buy food or put food on the table for their family is very difficult. So much more than them, buying masks for their family. It's difficult.
Yeah. The use of face masks, even if they are not a regulation by the government, once the regulation comes not for the government but for the people, at least to save lives. That is the essence of that regulation. So people are complaining that they don't have the max. They don't have money to buy it. It could be true, and it is true because we know the situation of the country. However, the government should have also endeavored to, at least the way they did for the rice and other things, to at least provide people. I'm not saying the whole country, but to identify places that the people see them doing it, to show the importance. Because, for example, look at the gathering at Birinjai. You will see that some people wore masks. The president was asked to wear masks by the moderator of the program. The president, at least, you can see what happened. He resigned it from wearing the mask. So he spoke without a mask. So it would have been very exemplary for him to wear the mask. Looking at everyone there was wearing, almost everyone was wearing masks. So the use of masks is important. It's not for the government, but for personal. You be the judge of your own case. That is either you want to prevent yourself from the virus, or you want exactly to contaminate it, maybe through people's breathing and other things. So if it is for personal benefit, then you can do whatever means you could. $15, $25, even they increase it to $100, the importance cannot be overstated. It is very important for each and every person to be wearing masks. It's a matter of life safety. So people should try that. Coming to the increment, the government should have done something as they did for the other essential goods.
Other essential goods, exactly.
The government sanitizers and rice, onion, and other things. They made an essential commodity emergency regulation. They came up with that. They could have done the same for the face masks. Locally made, it should not pass this. Imported one that is not made in the Gambia, it should not pass this. Let people have it. To show that the government cares. But if not, people are seeing different prices. 75 is there, 50 is there, $30 is there, 25 is there. So how about someone who don't have $400 or $75 to buy it? Meaning that person, if there was enforcement, strong enforcement, the person will come into conflict with the regulation, and the person will be in trouble. Not understanding the person wants to buy it, you see the person will go into trouble. So the government should do something about that.
Actually, Sarah, I cannot understand those excuses that people have advanced. Of course, I respect their opinions, but I think it's very important, like he said, this is about individual responsibility. How much money do we spend on megabytes per day? How much money do we spend on internet per day? It's not free, it's money. And therefore, the average and the lowest fee price for the mask is $50.
$50, yeah.
And therefore, because we have reusable ones, you could use it and wash it, use it again. And therefore, it's different from the one that doctors use. You can buy once and then use it once and throw it. I think we have the capacity to produce more. We have the tailors, we have the clothes in this country to produce enough for everybody. And therefore, it is important because it is, being seen as one of the means and ways of reducing the spread of the virus. And therefore, there should even be a fine, as far as I'm concerned. This is what is happening in other parts of the world. There should be a fine for people who are refusing to use the mask. Because it's not only about you. Yes, you don't want it. Nobody wants it, in fact. The other time my daughter was telling me, but daddy, this is the type that we use for animals. And now I'm seeing everybody using it. What is happening? I say something is wrong.
Something is wrong, exactly.
Something is wrong. Something meant for animals.
Yeah.
Now we are using it as humans. Something is wrong.
Something is wrong.
So therefore, no one feels comfortable to use it. But because we have no option, we have no alternative. It is one of the ways of reducing the spread of the virus. So therefore, if you said, I don't want it, I don't feel comfortable, it's my, I don't want it at all. But you have to also understand, you have a responsibility.
A responsibility, exactly. Yeah.
Not to infect others.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's not only about you, but it's about people around you. So that responsibility of also protecting others should really be considered. And again, I agree with him. Our leaders should also serve as an example.
Example, exactly.
Yeah. I'll be very much disappointed if I see from the screen the health minister talking to the press without a mask. I'll be very much disappointed.
Yeah.
But you see, thank God, so they should also serve as an example, role model in society, so that we can see what they are preaching to people. They are really practicing it. But I think the mask is very important. But again, I blame the security. It is there very clearly that they should enforce it.
Enforce it, yeah.
But they are not doing enough.
They are not doing enough, exactly.
They are not doing enough. And some of them themselves, you go to sell on the market and elsewhere in the streets, they just use it like this. What is the sense of having that? It doesn't make sense. So you have it, but just for the people to say that you are having a mask, you are not using it properly, it doesn't make any difference. So we really have to. So as far as I'm concerned, people should really be penalized for not using the mask.
Well, I still agree. If for any regulation, until and unless there are consequences, you see, I keep saying this. If you go to traffic, I say Gambians don't respect law; they respect police officers. Non-entry, you enter. You see a police officer, you stop. If there is a police officer before you enter, you don't enter. So this is the nature of Gambians. If you put up regulations without penalties, don't worry. Just yesterday, from Tabokoto to around this area, Star FM, I was in a car, a public transport. I entered and I saw somebody and I told the guy, please, can you wear your mask? And the person told me $10 in a fee, $10 in a fee. You pay $10 and I pay $10. But in reality, what can I do next?
Nothing.
Nothing. So I just wore my mask and I stayed. But the disadvantage is if that person sneezes or something happens and he has a droplet, it stays in that car. Another person comes and enters. That person could wear face mask, but probably because the person sneezes, the hands can get in contact and the person would think he is clean. Or something else might happen and he itch himself and then he becomes infected or he becomes infected. Because of the I don't want to use that negative word, but due to the no understanding of that person, another person who is innocent is being infected. So I believe, honestly, that there are needs to actually enforce some of these issues. And once there is a law, then the enforcement will be done 100% without fear or favor. You see, there is need for people to understand rule of law and rule by law. If there is a rule of law, it's going to affect everybody. Rule by law, you will have people that will say Kisuma Sirinda and Kisumani. And I think that is a major problem with the Gambia. Your friend's friend is another person's friend. So let's enforce the law and enforce it fully without positions or titles.
Okay, thank you very much, Kausu Baji. Following the sacking of Lamin Dabo, former executive director of the National Youth Council, many youths in the Gambia expressed their support to him. Lately, youths gathered to inform authorities that they will embark on a mass demonstration for Lamin Dabo to be reinstated. Our Sane files in this report.
Dabo was suddenly sacked as executive director of the National Youth Council and no reason was given. His sacking has generated strong reactions on social media, with many youths demanding answers for his dismissal. Dabo has served in that capacity at the National Youth Council since 2014 and has over the years established solid relationships based on mutual trust and understanding, especially with the youth of the Gambia, both home and abroad. Nfamara Jawneh, the executive director of Mbekambeng Civil Society Organization, said that the briefing was more about the issues affecting the National Youth Council and young people in general. He said that they are not here to go against the council, but instead they are here to fight for the rights of the youths, and for that being the case, they will organize a mass protest.
And therefore, this very important press briefing is being held ahead of our mass protest that we are about to organize in this country. For that we are not satisfied with the way and manner issues have been handled at the Gambia National Youth Council by the government of the Gambia, most especially the Ministry of Youth and Sports. Our colleagues, Mr. Nyang, will say more about that. But basically, the message that we have today is that we've been informed as key stakeholders of the Gambia National Youth Council that a new chairperson has been appointed to take charge of the Gambia National Youth Council without due consultation with the major stakeholders, especially council members. This is unacceptable. And therefore, we are sending a strong warning to the Minister of Youth and Sports, and by extension to the government of the Gambia, that the young people of the Gambia are very much disappointed, to speak the least, about the current administration in this country with regards to the manner and way they are handling youth issues in this country.
Mr. Jawneh added that a man over 40 years cannot be considered a youth, let alone be a youth leader in the country. He said that even the manner in which he was appointed was wrong, and that the young people have not been consulted in the appointment.
Leadership of this country, more especially leadership of the young people, it should be in consultation with the young people. That has been the tradition, and that's what is in the Youth Act. So the minister has appointed somebody who is his close friend at the University of the Gambia, in the person called Usman Fati. So we are showing our dissatisfaction. This man is not among us. We don't know him in any of the youth organizations. The Gambia National Youth Council is a hybrid. We want people to understand that. 100% of our membership are civil society. They are not government. So we are not small stakeholders in the National Youth Council. We want to run the affairs of this council, and we want it to be independent. Nobody can run the affairs of the National Youth Council for us.
The angry youths demand the Minister of Youth and Sport, Hadrame Sidibe, to resign from his position, as they accuse him of nepotism in appointing his friend as the new National Youth Council leader. Reporting for Star TV News, I am our son.
Well, we've seen in that report, and we have Mr. Jawneh here with us. But before we talk to Mr. Jawneh, let me just hear from Yanks your version of the youths organizing, a demonstration in support of Lamin Dabo.
Yes, it's very controversial. For me, I would differ from their position.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm seeing them going wrong. And first, they're talking about the independence of the National Youth Council. If you look at the National Youth Council, it was established by an act of parliament in the year 2000. And then their responsibility is very clear. It is defined in the act, and that they are responsible for coordination of youth policies, programs, and for connected matters. That's what they stand for. So, in short, even the act is saying who is responsible for the administration of the act. It is saying the minister is the one responsible for the administration of the act. If you look at the entire act, the youth voice, I read the act completely, I've read it again. You will see youth voice does not matter in the act. I stand to be challenged by Mr.
Absolutely.
Yes. So the act, people should know exactly. The protest will have been geared towards one way, to influence the review of the act, so that people, the voice of the youth, the appointments, president can even, in fact, the executive secretary should dance to the tune of the president. That is what the act is saying. The executive secretary should dance to the tune of the president. And then if the person fails, so that the president can remove that person. So the president has a hand to remove. He has the power. He can even suspend. And there's no youth group. Even the youth, there's no way that the youth can suspend the National Youth Council. So we don't have a National Youth Council responsible for the youth. But we have a National Youth Council that is there to dance to the tune of the executive, the minister. If the president feels and tells you do this, it's very clear. It tells you.
So meaning,
you must do directives. That is the prescribed directive of the president. If you don't do it, you are going. So you don't have a National Youth Council for the youth.
Okay.
That is one. If you look at the composition of the National Youth Council, apart from the elected chairperson of the regions, who else is there who is not appointed? Who? None of them. Executive secretary is appointed. The chairperson of the National Youth Council is appointed. The lady there is appointed. The director of youth. All these people are appointed. Who is appointing them? Is it the youth?
No.
Very simple. Also, the objective of I don't want to go into the objective, because the objective is there. It's just minimum. And since 2000, it needs to be reviewed to reflect the current realities of the country. So the direction should not be protesting just for the removal of a person who was not there for the youth, who was there to dance to the tune of the president. I would say that. That is, I would listen. So Section 7 of the Act is saying the president may require a member to vacate his or her office if the president is satisfied that the member has failed to comply with the condition of his or her service fixed by the president. Fixed. This is very important for people to understand. Fixed by the president. That's why I'm telling you. He must be there to dance to the tune of the president. The president is fixing, telling him what to do. And also, that is the point. It's A, B, and C. But I'm taking only B.
Exactly.
That is one. So the president can remove. He does not even need to tell you why I remove him. So the protests, what are they going to achieve there? So the youths must not be used as tools and objects for protest. Protesting for things that we may not have actually what we want. The youth should have organized better to influence the review of our act, the National Youth Council Act, so that people will have their voice in the terms of appointment, removal, then the way things go, even the staff of the council, the minister must approve. Their salary, the minister must approve. Everything, the government. Where is the youth voice? This is what we should be fighting.
So meaning the youths are not independent in the National Youth Council.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and also, if a person's position is vacant, who is going to appoint? The president. And if there's a man in the report who is saying, we are central we are key stakeholders. I don't know who exactly is that. We are key stakeholders in this. What stakeholder are you? In terms of appointment, are you a stakeholder? No. In that removal, you're not a stakeholder. Where your voice matters, I'm not sure where it is. Unless they will be able to tell us that the act says when the president is removing, he needs to consult and say, yes, I'm removing council budget today because you people must approve. There is nothing like such thing here. So the powers the youth have in their own council is very limited.
Very limited. Okay.
Or in fact, it is not there. For me, naturally, I'm saying it's not there. We don't have any voice. So the act gives the president too much power to the extent that dissolving the whole council, that belongs to the youth, not even him. You are saying the man was how much? It's more than 35. Or is about 40 or what? It cannot be, it's not a youth. Well, a president who is not part of it is telling you close your council. You're not talking about that. You want to challenge something else. So let's challenge the law, not the action. Let's challenge the law so that our law will be at least reflect what we want. What we want is anyone who is appointed must serve the interest of the people. In fact, one of them also said, we don't recognize him in youth organization. Is that a requirement of an executive secretary? No, it's just noise making. So these are things that people must try to avoid.
Okay.
I think, Sarah, at this point, at this
Yes,
juncture, we have to clarify.
before you come, let me just hear from the Council Baji, and then Mr. Jawneh, you come.
Yeah, I think I'm like kind of a little bit confused because we're seeing two different things here.
Yeah.
We have what is called the National Youth Council, the council of that is the National Youth Council, and you have what is called the National Youth Council Secretariat. Yeah. So these are two different things. If you read in the Act, actually, you don't see some of these issues because the Act clearly is the National Youth Council Act 2000. 2000, yeah. But if you really understand the council, then you understand clearly that there is a council which comprises of a chairperson, a vice chair, a female rep, and the regional chairpersons. And there is a secretariat. Yeah. This report is actually even telling us something different. That the problem is not even about Lamindawo, but about a chairperson. It means not Lamindabo now, but then the then chairperson is also removed, and that is Dembokam.
Dembokam, yeah.
So until and unless you understand that part, it's something else different. Coming down to the appointments, I never wanted to go into those details, but just for a better understanding of the viewers. Coming down to the appointment, the minister, clearly, the Act empowers the ministers to appoint in consultation. Now,
with who?
Stakeholders.
No.
No. Of course, yes.
The Public Service Commission.
No, the Public Service Commission is responsible for the approval of the appointments. Let me just put this clear.
No, don't misquote the Act.
No, I'm not misquoting the Act.
Allow him to learn.
I don't want to appear to be an activist here. Yeah. Because that is not the person. No, I'm not here on that camp. No, I'm not. I don't want to appear to be an activist in this person. Okay. What I am saying is, for me, honestly, out of all jokes, I don't see anywhere whereby it says clearly in consultation. My point, and this had ever been my query, is let it be defined. Thank you. Because you see, the young people, I believe this is too late. Honestly, we have all the options and all the opportunities to amend this. The unfortunate thing is, those people who were trying to actually protect the same law are some of the people that are victimized by the bad law. Okay. And this is why I believe laws shouldn't be made for a period of time or for a specific individuals, but laws should be made to address specific issues. If those who are active in the youth work, in 2016, when we had what they call the Banjul Plus 10, I asked a question and people said I protested, I boycotted. I asked, what is the essence of celebrating Banjul Plus 10, that is the Banjul Plus 10, when even our act itself is confused? Seriously. You are celebrating. And the same people who were celebrating, respect to those people, Lamin Dabo, Dembo, Kambi, they did a lot for the young people. But couldn't we have used those opportunities to actually work on some of these loopholes? This is not the first time this is happening. If you understand the council very well, let me just give a short scenario. Executive Secretary, National Youth Council, had been deliberately butchered to Executive Director, and none of the activists talked about it. Everything is a promotion. I said it's an insult to the Act, because that's the first violation of the Act. How was that made? It was through what they call a youth policy, and not the Act. And what the Act says is the Youth Council Secretary, Executive Secretary. After that, we get to a point whereby, from the Secretariat, when people were appointed, we knew very well that they are not supposed to be political. But at one point in time, we see partly of our activists. Today, you appear to be political. Tomorrow, you appear to be otherwise. And then the National Youth Council, as a regulatory body, didn't kick those people out of the youth sector, but allowed some of those people to be in the sector. You see, we need to understand, advocacy is advocacy, politics is politics. Sure. And this is something clear. Jawneh, you know exactly what I'm talking about. In 2017, you're not too young to run campaign. Some of the people who were manning positions, I don't want to mention that institution here, but when some of the activists said some of those people shouldn't come back to the youth activists. So this is a long chain that had actually been growing. And this is why, to address this, we need to go back to the drawing board. And going back to the drawing board is not to complain about this, but to complain as to how do we amend the act. One, how do we get a youth policy that actually represents the interests of the young people, but not the interests of few individuals? How do the young people of the Gambia, how will they get the powers to actually ensure they can choose and elect a chairperson and not the minister electing a chairperson in consultation? Because I keep saying it, none to me, and that's my honest view, none of the chairpersons elected had been in consultation, and that is clear. And then the list can go on, because I know the youth council from the first chairperson, the second chairperson, up to date. I know all of those people, and none of them was in consultative. Why now?
Okay,
we have to clarify, Sarah.
Let's go to Mr. Jawneh. Yes, exactly.
It's very important that we clarify these things. It's unfortunate that some people don't know that protesting is one strategy that you can use to really achieve your objective. It's one strategy that we use in advocacy, to achieve whatever we want to achieve. And it's been guaranteed by law. And that is why you go to police, they give you permit to do it. Yeah. And that is why on the 29th of this month, we are going to the streets to protest.
You've already got a permit?
Of course. Okay. Of course. So the issue here now, people really need to understand. I agree we have the act has some weaknesses. It has some challenges, limitations, you call it. Yeah. But the issue here now is that, and it's unfortunate that we are saying that young people don't have power as far as the council is concerned. When all the youths in a particular region, all the youths of Upper River region, for instance, will elect a regional chairperson to sit on the board for them.
No, point of clarity. Yes. All youths in organized youth structures.
Exactly.
Okay, good. Yeah.
No, it's the whole region.
No.
The process now is I've been following it, Council. But I'm coming. Okay. When a region sends you to the National Youth Council as the chairperson of that particular region. Now, how many regions do we have in the Gambia?
7.
Now, you have 7 of them. You have the Director of Youth and Sports. You have the chairperson to be appointed by the minister and the youth rep, for instance. Still now you have more youths in the board. And now you are telling me that young people have no power and have no strength or whatever. The NYC board. The NYC board. No, and again, the issue here is that even the act provides for the minister to appoint the chairperson of the council.
Absolutely.
But therefore the act doesn't say bring your wife. The act doesn't say bring your sister.
But the act doesn't say bring your wife. Did it say don't bring your wife?
No, but the act says you bring somebody who wants it. So we are seeing something here as a form of nepotism in this case. And again also, people really need to understand.
But you people are calling for the reinstatement of Dabo.
Now let me make this very, very clear. That even the way and manner Lamin was sacked was wrong.
Perfect. That I agree.
Was wrong. And it's very wrong and very unfortunate that Deputy Permanent Secretary is telling people that Lamin wasn't qualified. Why do you hire him? You know that I'm not qualified. Why should you hire the person? And it's very unfortunate that they are telling people that he was acting. Acting, we all know the GOs. We don't work in government, but we know how government works. If you work in a particular position for 6 months, you either have to be confirmed or sacked or removed. If it goes beyond 6 months, what happens? You become the substantial holder of that particular office. 5 years, 6 years, 7 years in one position, the person is still acting. It's not true. These are the issues that, and again, you have to understand. You have to understand that we know very well.
What was on his letter of appointment? after the 6 months? Was he given a letter?
Of course, Lamin was. He was confirmed.
Yeah.
He was confirmed as the executive director of the Gambia National Youth Council, and therefore all the correspondence coming from the ministry to the National Youth Council never say acting executive director. And therefore we all know the GOs that if you want to really not satisfied with somebody's work, you have to send a warning letter. You have to send a warning letter. Let the person know that the way he was manning the position is not well. It's not in line with the appointment letter whatsoever. So what that the person should do. But you never do that. You never do that. Just go one day and then just sack the person like. And again, it is very clear in the act that the National Youth Council should register national youth organizations, coordinate youth activities in the country and youth programs in the country, advise the government on issues affecting the youth development.
Okay.
So this issue is not about Lamin Tabo, it's about the institution.
Yankuba, you want to come in?
Yes, it's very important for people to clarify. It's Jawneh is making different things, getting a lot of things together, and then I think it's better to clarify. He's saying the sacking of Lamin Tabo was not proper. I'm not saying it's proper, but is it taking the street? You know, people must understand that there are better resources that we can do than going to the street. The street may bring something. He said it's an advocacy tool. But who are going to the street? What value will it add to what you are doing? If you go to the street, you go home and relax. How about if you resort to better place? Like for example, you are saying this appointment was not proper. Maybe there's a provision of law. I'm not going to enter that. It's very easy. Go to the court to get a declaration to that effect. That is court. People must understand that protesting and other things, National Youth Council, then you don't have a voice in. He's saying a whole this thing, you are, how do you say? A rep from UR, a rep from Sierra, a rep from City
All the
and the
regions,
council.
all the regions are
But what voice do they have?
They sit on the board.
When the minister can, the president can dissolve you in the public interest. Who will determine public interest? Is it you or the president? The act is in the president can dissolve any public interest.
But you have to understand that we are in transition. The president has the power to even dissolve the National Assembly. We have instances here. He doesn't have the power to even dissolve the National Assembly. So it's a process we are involved in. And again, let me tell you that it is very, very unfortunate that we cannot condemn when people take illegal means to achieve something. It's very unfortunate. We cannot do that.
No.
There are many ways to kill the bird. If you want to go to the court, it's your right. If I want to go to the street, I have the right. It's in the Constitution of the Republic of Gambia. That's why you go to the police. And again, before all these things, there have been so many consultations with regards to how best we can resolve. Not only about
what will happen? What will happen?
They saw a very good National Youth Council. We met the minister, we met several stakeholders, not only about Lamin Tabo, but to ensure that what he said, the council that is representative, Malawi, for instance, yesterday I was reading. Right now, the Youth Council of Malawi, the board is being dissolved. And now, according to the Youth Act of Malawi, is that youth organizations, national youth organizations, nominate candidates to serve on the board. For Malawi, that's a good practice.
Okay, now, before council comes in, what will happen if you go on the streets,
yes,
you protest, and at the end of the day, you don't get your results? What are the other options?
No, I think we're going to get our results. Our results are not only one thing.
How so are that you
One
are
of
going
them
to,
is
how
to tax.
how so are you that you are going to get results?
No, this is a government that is claiming to be democratic. This is a government that is saying that they are committed to participation. Participation. And he's talking about lack of participation. And how do we ensure participation? We tax the ministry to ensure that we review the act.
Okay, review the act.
Review the act.
Okay.
That is one thing.
That is very important.
That is one thing. The tradition at NYC, even before Aliu Jammeh, the tradition there has always been, if the minister who has the power by the law, by the act, who is empowered by the act, is about to appoint the chairperson, he consults the council, the council. That is the elected representative from the regions who sit on the council and seek for their opinion. Okay. Because, for instance, this has always been a tradition and best practice. Why we do that is that if something has to do with the young people, you really want to empower youths, it is always good that you have somebody there who knows youth issues. Yeah. It might not be by law that the person must know youth issues, But it, common sense is not rocket scientist. The practice has always been that. And therefore the minister was told that this is the practice here. And the minister said, okay, submit the names. And they used to submit 3 names.
Now you're coming.
No, can we come?
3 names.
Can we come?
No, let me clarify this. 3 names were submitted.
Yes.
And these 3 names,
Okay.
well-educated, very hard-working young people in this country. Graduates, I'm telling you. Very young, within the age bracket of 35. But the minister decided to ignore that list and bring in somebody that everyone knows clearly
Who's our
is a friend.
Who's
Is a friend of the
government?
minister.
Can we get this?
Is this fair?
No, can we get this? No, I want him to actually, because there's something that he said that I know very well, that if you said it's the tradition, can you actually tell me who and who among the chairpersons there was a consultation that was done from Kali? Or even if you want, we can go beyond Fabakari Kali.
What I'm saying?
No, because
you can go back
this is
to
a media.
You can go back
So
to Kali.
if you want to stay before the media and give wrong information, it's actually the same.
No. You don't know what you are saying.
I know what I'm saying.
No, because the appointment of Kali, I was even consulted myself.
As
to
what?
submit my CV. I was even consulted.
No, to submit your CV.
I was consulted.
To submit your CV.
So I was told that there was a consultation going on, that they want to appoint a chairperson.
Yes. Okay.
You understand? So therefore, if I was consulted, that means that the tradition has been there before today.
No.
So
they told you.
Maybe he's assuming he was consulted. He's assuming that the traditional was already there.
No, what I'm telling you,
Jawneh
was not consulted. Jawneh was not consulted as a stakeholder. Jawneh was told
it has always been there. The tradition has always been there. You know the problem in this country.
Yeah, let's allow young people to
come. The problem
in.
is in this country. If people are fighting a genuine cause. If people are really fighting a genuine cause, you have people who are undermining the fight.
No.
This is a problem in this country.
Can you get this?
In this country.
You know Boko was a chairperson. I never wanted to go direct, but you know Boko was a chairperson.
She resigned.
No. How did she come on board?
She resigned.
No. How did Boko become chairperson?
We all know very well that the minister has the power to appoint.
Yes.
The minister has the power to appoint.
Through which specific youth group was Boko part of?
No, that is more important.
No, it's not telling me. I'm telling you what happens.
Consultation.
If you deny it, actually present your case.
Yeah, I think, Jawneh, gentlemen.
I said, wrong is wrong and cannot be right. The fact that person was elected or nominated without consultation, I said it is wrong. That is not, I'm not saying it is right. But what I'm saying is, do not also sit before the TV and deceive people to say this has been the tradition. No, because
that is the information that we got from the council.
No, now I am telling you that Buffalo was elected.
Therefore, that is the information that we should transmit to the public.
No, but that is wrong. We are all communicating.
Yes, the information is wrong. Thank you very much. The information is wrong. Time is against us right here. What we're going to do is, let's just try to wrap up in short.
Yeah, in short.
Yeah,
Mr. Jawneh is speaking, I can say, not on law, but what is a practice. And the laws are what they are, and not what they ought to be. And you are saying the minister should have, because it was a practice that they consult. But the law is not saying he should consult. He's having the power to do that. And now he's exercising his power. You are trying to, I would say, create noise. Instead of influencing the amendment or the changes or the reform of the act, now people are going to the street saying, reinstate this man, or it was not done properly, or what. He has the power to do that. And he does not require, there's no requirement of law that he should consult you. You are saying it is a practice, and that we cannot rely on. We have to rely on the law. So the National Youth Council, in short, what I would say is, the fight and the struggle should be the amendment of the act that will have the voice of the youth as a matter, to be as important as, or as more powerful than the voice of the president.
Thank you very much, Yankuba.
Well, I know the young people are really having a reason to actually engage. That is my suggestion. Then let them engage the relevant stakeholders, and the main objective of the young people's engagement should be an amendment of the act. In as much as we are young people, we need to do what is constitutional and what is in line with the law. Until and unless we do what is in line with the law, we cannot go out to convince others to actually join what people like me see not to be like the best option. For me, protest should be the last option. Thank you. And that is my point.
Thank you very much.
Protest is one of the best options. It's one of the best options all over the world for citizens to express their frustration and their disapproval of any decision taken by the government. It depends on how you organize your protest, and it depends on what you want to achieve at the end of the day. But the reality is, if protest is something bad for this country, police will not give permit to anybody to protest. And therefore, what is more important is, if you choose to go to the courts, you go to court. If I choose to go to the street, I go to the street. Make sure when you go to the court, you follow the procedure if you want to win your case. Make sure when I go to the street, I go in accordance with the law. And at the end of the day, we all follow our rules. For me, that is the fundamental thing here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming. It was an interesting news review program right here on Star TV. We say bye to all of you out there until we come here once again. That's going to be another Saturday with me, Sarah, together with Kausubaji, Nfamara, Jawneh, together with Yankuba. We say bye to all of you.